Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Broom Brothers podcast. I am John Cullen, and with me is my fellow Broom brother, Robbie Doherty.
Robbie Doherty, the Broom Brother number 2. Not because we could move the brooms, John, but because we carry the brooms.
I actually made Jay on our team carry the brooms. I was trying to buck the trend of the lead having to carry the brooms, so Jay was the second, and he had to do it.
How did you do that? I was the opposite. I was like, please don't cut me, Mr. Casey.
Well, the key is just play with like the most agreeable person on earth.
I definitely didn't do that.
Yeah, that's Jay. That was Jay's whole thing, is he's just a very nice, agreeable man. So if you tell him to do something, then he generally does it. So that was pretty much my whole game plan. And I'll tell you what, it worked.
Yeah, it did. I should have thought of that because I went the opposite route, but good friend of mine anyhow. So
we both ended up in the same place hosting this podcast. And I guess, this is going to be a bi-weekly, so every other week, look at the world of curling. We're going to be talking about the biggest stories in the game, breaking news, gossip, all that good stuff. We're also going to have great interviews with players. But maybe for the fans who don't know you and don't know me, maybe we should just talk a little bit about who we are, why we're here, why we're the guys that should even be talking about curling in the first place. We'll start with you, Robbie. Tell the fans kind of about your curling bona fides, as it were.
It was a hot summer day in 1988 when I was born in Charlottetown. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm Robbie Doherty. I've lived my whole life in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. You'll hear me refer to it as the mainland quite often. I curled off and on, since 2004, I was late starting, and I played with most recognizable. Played with Adam Casey for a couple years, played in 4 Grand Slam events, got to a few Briars at a PEI, with 2 with Casey, and then 1 with some lesser known teams. You have a 1 in 6 chance in PEI those 2 years. Come on.
Absolutely.
The odds are good.
Yeah, I mean, you have 3 Purple Hearts.
No, I have 4.
4. Okay. So
but I've played in 3 Briars.
Okay. So I see. Because of COVID?
Nope. Starts with an R.
Relegation.
I got PEI out of relegation, and I put us right back in next year.
So if you have 4 hearts from PEI, does that kind of add up to like 1 regular heart?
We're working on it. I'd say
What's
no
the
official
rate?
Number. I would say no. Maybe till about 2001, and then the numbers started to dwindle off.
Well, I mean, that's true of every province. And you curled, and then obviously you ended up not leaving the sport, but kind of retiring from competitive play. Yeah. And you've been working with the Grand Slams for a long time. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's right. I started working for them the year after I stopped curling. I think it was the 16-17 season, 2016, 2017. I just got a random message from Jen and Christy asking if I ever wanted to come on board and help with logistics. And I just said to them, guys, like, I can't tape 2 pieces of paper together. Now you want me to, it'll be all right. You'll figure it out. But so I started doing that, kind of overseeing the setup and the tear down, and slowly moving into doing other things, like helping out with the music and helping Jesse and his team out with some video stuff and arranging that, not editing or anything along those lines. And then I think they got to know my personality a little bit. So I slowly moved into kind of a partial MC in the crowd. And then I moved in last season to the MC role and part-time on broadcast as well. Kind of I call myself the Hazel May of the Grand Slams.
And you look just as good. I think people love it when they turn on the Grand Slams and they see your shining face.
Hey, an Islander with buck teeth. What's not to love? How about you, John? Let's get to know you.
Yeah, sure. So I maybe have a less impressive curling career than you, which is tough to do, but I have managed to do it. No, I played for a long time out of British Columbia. So we were on opposite sides of the country, and lost the BC final 3 times. Unfortunately, the pinnacle of my career overlapped with a guy you might have heard of before by the name of Jim Cotter. So I went to the BC provincials 10 times, and Jim won it 8 of those 10 times that I was there. So it wasn't always easy to get out of BC, and I never did. So yeah, played for a long time. And then I lost the BC mixed final. And then that's when I knew it was time to quit, because there's no worse game to lose than the provincial mixed final. I'll tell you that for free. That's a long road to go for absolutely no gain whatsoever. Like, at least when you're playing with your men's team, whatever, you're like, oh, that was good experience. We're going to take that forward into next year. Mixed is like, I'm never going to talk to these people again. What a waste of time this was. We didn't get to go to nationals, but we played the maximum number of games.
And traveled.
And traveled to not get to go, which is cool. But yeah, and then I've always kind of been interested in broadcasting. I started with a little web series I produced myself called Cullen and a Curler. And that was back like 10 years ago now. I think that started in 2013. And then it's just, I've done a few different curling podcasts, Stone and Straw and Way Inside. And then this last year I did the Broomgate podcast. I was the co-creator, the host of that show. And looking forward to working for the Grand Slams this year. I think, you're already in that crew, and I'm going to be there this year doing some commentary on the streaming, going to be doing some social media content for the Slams. And yeah, this is officially the official podcast of the Grand Slam of Curling. I guess we didn't say that off the top, but we're two guys who are going to be working for the Slams, going to be enjoying it. And before we move on to kind of, talking about the news of the day, Robbie, you also are kind of involved with something cool with the Grand Slams this year, and kind of, this is sort of an announcement, I guess, that this is happening, but this year is not going to have just the GSOC, but also the GSOK. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's right. The Grand Slam of Karaoke, the GSOK, it's coming to Après Curl. Après Curl is going to be at every one of our Grand Slam events, similar to the Patch or the Heartstop Lounge. It's a big bar party zone set up on site. It's going to be live music, but specifically what we're talking about, the GSOK is brand new this year. It's going to give curlers a chance to sing karaoke with a live band for a cash prize. So I can only speak for Charlottetown, and this is not so much being a staff member, but more so being a local. I know that we have an absolutely rock solid band backing up the curlers. I know the invite just went out to the teams to get registered, send their song choices in. We kind of had a little accidental version of this in Pictou last year when I won't get into details, but we managed to get Carrie Anderson on stage, and she rocked, man. I Feel Like a Woman. And as a member of a Shania Twain tribute band, I'm very excited to see who else can follow that. So it's going to be lots of fun, big money on the table, but not just money. There's going to be a championship belt that the winner will win. And you better believe that come Nisku, Alberta in November, somebody is rolling in wearing that belt, ready to defend. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, and I think too, Robbie, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's individual players can sign up, but they can also do, like, as a team, do it as a duo from a team or whatever. Like, we could see some, we could see some really impressive performances, maybe some coordinated dancing. Who knows?
Could see. I expect to see. Like, I bet you, I'm not a betting man, but I bet you the new Team Jacobs is home right now choreographing their dance for their karaoke performance.
They're actually going to do it with their trucks. They're going to have their 4 trucks that they have from Driving Force, going in motion. I can't wait to see that.
Something about a truck.
Exactly. Exactly. It's going to be great. And that is all going to start at the Charlottetown Slam, which is coming up, as you're listening to this, it's going to be starting in less than a week in Charlottetown, PEI, the Tour Challenge. And Robbie, you're from Charlottetown, so why don't you tell the fans a little bit about the city, what to expect? Like, is Charlottetown stoked for the Slam? Is this a big deal over on the island?
Oh, that's an understatement. Charlottetown is so psyched right now. Charlottetown is a population of under 50,000, technically. Surrounding area, sure, might be a little bit more, but it's a small city. But the difference between most cities that size is we're a capital city. And with that comes a lot of cool things, a lot of history here, but we're certainly known for our hospitality and our food scene. Obviously, seafood, lobsters, oysters, anything like that. It's truly second to none on the planet. So I think anybody visiting, if you have a ticket, if you're coming to take the event in, or any competitors who are in the event, they can certainly expect more than just curling when they come. There's going to be world-class entertainment all week, world-class food. I told Christy I want to send out to all the teams an official document of Robbie's picks. So when you're here, where to go, where to stay away from, that sort of thing. But I know that, just walking around the city, this weekend, we just finished the PEI International Shellfish Festival, which is
I thought for a second you were going to say we just finished the internet. We just got the internet and we're stoked.
We're still working on that. Oh no, but it's huge, and people come from all over the world to experience that, and that momentum from that festival is going to carry through with curling. I know there's going to be some demonstrations in the arena with food and chances for anybody visiting to take in some fresh seafood and some island hospitality with music. Bottom line, it's going to be a party. You've obviously heard about the changes that are planned for the Grand Slam of Curling fan experience. I've been told a few different things that they want to do, and it's going to be a curling event like no other. So highly encourage you, if you don't have tickets, I don't think there's very many left, but if you don't have tickets, you want to take it in, if you're in the area, we'd love to have you.
PEI is it's the last province that I've got to visit. I've been to every other province, but PEI is the last one on the list I haven't been to. So I'm excited to see it for the first time.
Well, the bonus is you can do it in 4 hours, and then
I love that. That's nice. I mean, that's what I always say about St. John's. I love St. John's. It's an amazing city, and you can go for a weekend and you've seen it all. You never have to go back. I mean, I love going back, but you can just be like, I did it.
Yeah, wait till you see Charlottetown if you think St. John's is small.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
No, but yeah, and I always say too, just from traveling on the road with this curling tour, there's something special about the bigger cities, obviously. And we go to Toronto every April, the Blue Jays are playing and all that stuff. But there's really something special about going to the smaller communities where we don't have the opportunity to see world-class sports every weekend. Again, Toronto, the Raptors, the Leafs, the Jays, they're playing all the time. Or for us, we might get something like this once every 2 or 3 years. And especially with curling, it's very unique because this is the best in the world. We have hockey competitions. Last year we had the World Under-17 Hockey Championships, which is cool, but they're the best in the world, but in their age group. Where this is just the best on the planet, and they are coming to Charlottetown. So I think the community really appreciates that. I think the community is very excited to see that, and I think it's going to do great things, not just for fan experience and to have a great time, but I think it's going to do a lot to contribute to building the sport here in PEI and Atlantic Canada.
Love it. Now we're gonna get into kind of the start of the year, I think, for a lot of the tier 1 teams. So let's skip over talking about the tier 1 tour challenge, because this is an interesting thing. The tour challenge is the one event every year for the slams where tier 2 teams get involved. So the top 16 teams are in the tier 1, and then the next 16 are in the tier 2. If they win the tier 2, they get an invite to the Canadian Open. So they'll be competing in that. So this is a big, it's a big tournament for tier 2 teams. I'm sure, Robbie, you probably played in a tier 2 slam. I did as well. I know kind of the feeling of going into it. Like, it really does feel like a huge thing. Like you really think like this weekend could be, our fortunes could change. This could change everything.
So I'm going to answer that honestly. No, I've never played in the tier 2.
Oh, okay.
I have played in the tour challenge. And no, this is true what I'm about to say. Swear to God, going back to our broom bag carrying days, I walked into the dressing room with the broom bag. Benny Heeb's getting changed just in the corner. He looks at me and his already quite wide eyes just opened wider. What the hell are you doing in here? You're tier 1? I burst out. Yeah, true story. But yeah, no, we snuck in at 16. That was in Paradise. You couldn't see the other end of the ice.
Yeah, the fog bowl. No, I mean, it's definitely a cool, very cool event. And I know for a lot of these teams, it can really launch your season. So let's talk about the tier 2 and the men's side first. Who do you like on the men's side? Who are you kind of paying attention to this week? That you're thinking this could be the team that comes through.
I think it's very open-ended. I don't really know how to answer that question. I think there's a lot of young and up and coming teams. who are ready to knock on the door. I want to highlight one team, and I'm not going to take them as my pick, but someone to watch, and that's Team Purcell from Halifax. I think they're going to be adjusted well to the time zone, but they have like little things like that. They're not traveling very far, but that is a very, very skilled team. And we saw them in Pictou last year for the excuse me. No, I'm going to start that again. John, I apologize. We saw them in Pictou County for the Slam. It wasn't the event with the tier 2, but they made some noise. They were certainly in every game, but they looked like they belonged. And I think once they got that taste, because they're a younger team, once they got the taste of being there, I think they certainly really, really want to go back. And I think now that they know they're going to be there, they're going to be very focused. I know they've been on the ice quite a bit to get ready for this. And I think they're going to be ready to go. So I'm not going to say they're my pick to win, but I think they're certainly a team to watch. And another one, I can't leave this topic without saying it, but Team Tyler Smith from Charlottetown, they snuck in as the bottom seed in the tier 2. But you know what? They had a great Briar last year, and they're not going to be scared. And
Tyler's a shooter, man.
Tyler's a shooter.
He's a shooter.
Tyler is a shooter, and he doesn't care about who he's playing. Like, there's a lot of great shooters, but those nerves can kind of set in when you see Kevin Cooey or Brad Jacobs or Brad Gushu across the ice from you. Tyler doesn't care. Tyler walks out and plays in Tyler's world. And when he heats up, he can shoot with anybody. And if there's one thing Islanders love, I can speak from experience on this, it's that they love underdogs. So they're going to be out in Groves cheering them on. I think it could be a lot louder of a tier 2 event than we're used to in other years. With Tyler being there. And I know the rink, it's a loud rink. And Islanders just have always loved underdogs and seeing people kind of work their way up. So I have to at least mention them.
I think too, that opening game against Sluchinski hasn't been an amazing start to the season for Sluchinski.
No.
So I think, that's a winnable game, and you win your first game, and who knows where it goes from there.
Yeah, I agree. And especially in a triple knockout, you get on a roll. Like I find with some of the round robin layouts, sometimes you get that first win and, say it's 8:00 on Tuesday morning, but then you don't play until Wednesday night at 8. So
yeah, you don't get to get on a roll like you do in a triple knockout. Yeah.
Right.
I like your picks. I mean, I really have liked the way Ryland Kleider's played over the last year and a bit. I think adding Matthew Hall was really good for them. And I think they've been really solid. So I'm excited. And they're playing Sam Moybrook, who I also think that's an interesting first game. Moybrook added Ryan Weeb, who I like a lot. Really nice kid, a really good shooter. And Sam's kind of been knocking on the door in Ontario a little bit. He's actually the highest rated team in Ontario right now. So, I think that's going to be a good game. But it is, some of these European teams have started the year very well. Mark Moskatowicz, Marco Hosley. It's going to be, there's a lot of good teams here. And I'm excited for the tier 2 on the men's side to shake out. Now let's move over to the women's side. And again, Robbie, this does feel like you look at the bracket and you're like, geez, there's like 6 or 7 teams I could picture winning this thing over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, there's 5 Japanese women's teams now in the top 25, top 30. Is that correct?
Top 25 as of yesterday. We're recording this on Monday. As of yesterday, with the results of this past weekend, 5 Japanese teams in the top 25 now. Yep.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely going to be some Japanese teams ready to go. I like Danielle Inglis as well. I think Danielle, she really impressed me last year. I always knew Danielle was a super talented curler, but it seemed like last year throughout the provincials and at the Scotties, just seemed to get a little bit more confident and a little more assured maybe of herself and her team. And the team just seems to really gel and play as a team. They're one of the teams that really look like they truly love each other, and really enjoy spending time with each other. And
that goes a long way.
That sounded a little like that.
No. I think you're absolutely right, though. I mean, there are teams who definitely don't like each other. I mean, you're not being mean to say that. I mean, that's just a fact.
It just came out different than I meant. But yeah, no, I think Danielle is certainly going to be in the mix. And one more, just because I had a great chat with her this summer, downtown Corn Brown.
Oh yeah, I love Corinne.
So do I. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was on a golf trip with her new husband this summer in PEI. I was playing a solo gig at the old Dublin pub, and boy, oh boy, who'd I see just walk in? Bryn Brown.
That's very nice. Yeah, she's great. Whole team's great. I like the addition of Sarah Colton.
Yep.
I thought Jen Armstrong was a good fit for them last year. She obviously left, but I think Sarah will fill those shoes admirably. Yeah, I mean, there's so many great teams on this side. Skurlik has had an awesome start to the year. Kate Cameron once again looks really good. They just made the final in Winnipeg there. And I mean, there's really, and Ha won or made the finals of the Korean Championship, upset the Garlic girls to get there. So yeah, lots of skill on the women's side. I'm excited to watch the tier 2 just as much as I am to watch the tier 1. And let's get to those tier 1 teams. And just looking at, obviously the first slam of the year always feels like the curling season is starting now, right? That's kind of the first big event that's on TV, and you feel like, okay, we're in it now. But the reality is a lot of these curlers are starting in August, earlier and earlier. So we've already seen some things happen, some rankings change. I wanted to ask you, there's 2 teams so far that they're both top 10 teams, and they both started with 2 wins. Yannick Schwaller has won 2 events. Mike McEwen has won 2 events. Which of those starts do you think is more impactful or more real, let's say?
I think they're both very similar, and I'm not trying to play the safe card here, but I think they're similar for the same reasons, in the sense that I don't want to say both of them had breakout years last year, but they were kind of teams that they certainly all knew the talent was there. It was just a matter of putting it together. I'll start with Schwaller. As the MC in-house at the Grand Slams, the introductions are a little bit different for the quarterfinals, semifinals, and obviously the championship finals. And I remember announcing their name a lot last year on late Saturday, and looking back at their stats a couple of weeks ago, I think they had 2 quarterfinal finishes and 2 semifinal finishes last year at 5 slams. So 5 slams. Qualified in 4 of them. That's not an easy feat. And look at that lineup: Benoit Schwarz-Van Berkel. He's so dangerous to play against, and especially if Schwaller's dialed in at third, or throwing the third rocks. They're a tough team. But I want to go back to McEwen too, and I think last year, the Brier being in Saskatchewan, now Mike obviously is from Winnipeg, but he was wearing green that week, representing the home province. I really was happy to see, because I think, the casual kind of curling fan, they didn't see them in every Grand Slam final. So it was kind of like, oh, is the crowd just behind them? Are they just kind of having, I don't want to say a lucky or a fluky, but playing over their heads a big week. And I said last year during the Brier, I said, that's not an accident. These guys are really, really good players. The Marsh brothers are brilliant. They have a lot of skill. So I think, and then obviously McEwen coming out with 2 wins this year and a great performance last year in the Players' Championship. I think both teams are going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. Absolutely no question. I'm going to lean a little bit towards Mike, because Mike has that experience. I heard this podcast in the spring called Broomgate, and they talked about Mike, but he's got so much big game experience. I'd say it's 10 or 11 years after, most of his success. And with that 10 years becomes a lot of, you learn a lot about yourself and the way to prepare and what suits you best. And he just seems a lot more calm out there than he used to be. And he's just a really good shooter. And then it's, of course, Colton out there as well, with a lot of muscle and great shooting ability. I think out of the 2, I'm going to say McEwen. I think they're the real deal. I think they're going to make a lot of noise this year. And perhaps, say, 2 years ago, when the new quadrennial was really kicking off and heating up, maybe McEwen wasn't a name you were thinking about, but they damn sure are now. And I think,
I mean, had kind of a terrible year in the first year out of the quad. Did Mike, playing with Fry and Brent Lang and John Buke out of Ontario. That team didn't even make it to the provincials. John Buke left and Joe Hart came in. And so, I agree. I think both teams are great. And we're going to talk to Benoit Schwarz-Van Berkel in a little bit here, our first ever guest on the show. But I've always thought that Benoit had a ton of talent, and I thought this is probably the best third he's ever played with from a shot making perspective. And so when you put those two things together, that usually means good things. With Mike too, yeah, I think we all, anybody who's spent any time with Mike, he's such a great guy, and we've all been waiting for him to win the big one. He's made the Olympic trials final. He's now made the Brier final. Obviously he's won a bunch of slams, but we've been waiting for that one crowning moment for Mike, because he's kind of flown under the radar as like one of this generation's best players.
Absolutely.
You look at the accomplishments of Brad Guzju and even people lower down lineups like Mark Kennedy and Ben Hebert, people who are contemporaries with Mike, and then even BJ Neufeld, his own teammate, goes away, wins a world championship, wins a Brier and silver at the world championship in 2019. Like, I think we all just want that big win for Mike, and I agree that I love seeing them start this year so good. Mike looks so comfortable out there. I think it's going to be great. Now, we obviously had a lot of team changes in the offseason, but perhaps none bigger than Team Jacobs, Mark Kennedy, Brett Gallant, Ben Hebert, giving the old heave-ho to Brendan Botcher, bringing on Brad Jacobs. Obviously we're now into the season. They just played their first event in Okotoks, lost in the quarterfinals to Michael Brunner. But that was the first time we got to see them. We've had all summer to digest this. What did you think of the announcement when it first happened, Robbie? How do you think about it now? Is it the right move? How are you thinking about this new Team Jacobs?
Well, I certainly didn't see it coming. I was quite surprised when I saw it. And of all the changes I was kind of thinking about, I was really, that team, they had a pretty decent year. And Brendan Botcher is a very, very good curler.
Very good.
So I don't, and you know what? It's none of my business. I'm not looking to get into the gossip or what happened or what the reasoning was. But I think that Brad Jacobs is probably a better fit as personally with those guys. And I say that I don't know Ben very well. I maybe know Mark a little bit better, but I know Brett quite well. I went to high school with Brett. Obviously he grew up in Charlottetown. And I think just watching, and again, this is not a knock to Brendan and saying he doesn't, but I just growing up kind of in my really younger men's days and my late junior days, watching Brad Jacobs and the way he trained and the commitment that he put into it. And I just knowing how Brett Gallant was since he was 3 years old. I think they have a very similar mindset. And I think Brad is going to bring a lot to that team, just as a figure and just as a leader. I think Brad has certainly matured a lot over the years. And when Brad Jacobs gets hot, like, just pack it in. He doesn't miss. And with someone like Mark Kennedy, not only just his shooting ability, but his ability to be a leader and a great teammate and just his curling IQ, if you will, it's a very dangerous team right through the lineup. And I think it's a good move. I think I certainly wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that handshake before the game.
Break our hands before we even get started. For me, I think the word that came up a lot was swagger. That the other three guys were looking for that a little bit more. And we know Brendan's a little bit more of a reserved, kind of quiet personality. And so I think that's just what they were looking to tap into. They just wanted someone that was going to be a little more fiery. And yeah, I think, I loved their coach, Paul Webster's quote in the aftermath of it, saying, like, if you're picking a skip for the next 10 years, you're picking Brendan Botcher, but we're picking a skip for the next 18 months. And, Mark and Ben have kind of suggested that this is going to be their last quad, and they wanted to give themselves the best chance. So, I agree with you. I think, like, on paper, I think Brendan and Brad are actually quite close in terms of, accomplishments. Brad obviously has the Olympic gold medal, but other than that, like, number of slam wins, they've won the same number of Briers. Brendan's been to more Brier finals. Like, it's all very close, but I think it is just exactly what you said, that kind of personality piece that it may make the difference for them. Now let's move over to the women's side of the game, and we'll answer a couple questions here before we get to our interview. First question: will Rachel Homan ever lose again?
Well, it's fun. Could you be a little more direct with the question, please? No, I'm glad you asked that, because that's what I was going to say about Brendan too, is, he certainly landed on his feet, getting, becoming the, I don't know what the curling term is, but the bench boss of Team Homan. He's going to bring a lot to that team. And that team was already just beyond dominant last year. it was wild to watch them in person. They were just so focused, so dialed in all the time. They didn't miss much, and when they did, they missed by a little. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think right now, in my personal opinion, they are the number one team in the world, and they're in a tier of their own. Some teams behind them, Tiranzoni, Hasselberg, teams like that. Sorry, I don't want to. Not trying to say that they're Goliath and no one's ever going to beat them, but Homan has certainly raised the bar in the sport, especially with just in women's curling. It's hard to find a team that really looks as impressive and is dominating as Team Homan. And now you're bringing Brendan Botcher over into that mix, one of the most analytical, strategic people in the game. He's going to bring so much to that team, and I think he'll be a great fit. So to answer that question, can't say they're never going to lose again, but they're going to be really, really hard to beat until they decide not to be.
Well, and I was curious, because I was in the building for the Scotties last year, and then you were obviously in the building for all the slams. What was it about Rachel? Because what I think is really funny is after their first year together as a team, people were kind of ready to write the eulogy, and they didn't even have a bad first year, but they bounced out of the Scotties playoffs, and they didn't have maybe the slam success we're used to seeing. They switched positions around, in terms of where they stood. Like, Rachel was not calling the game originally, Tracy was, and they kind of switched that around, and everybody kind of thought, what the hell, and then last year they had the greatest tour season of all time. So you were in the building. I was in the building only once. You were in the building 5 times. What was it that kind of brought them to this next level that I think a lot of people were maybe unsure that Rachel had still after, earlier career dominance?
Well, I think from my sideline position, that's what's responsible for this opinion. But to me, they just, no sports team, no band, no group can just be the best and for 30 years straight. Hypothetically, I'm just making that up. There's gonna be ups and downs within that career if you're in it for the long haul. I'm not, when you said the eulogy, that's probably a little bit extreme, but they weren't as.
People were not maybe saying the eulogy, but they were saying, like, is this a team that's going to make the end of the quad? I think for sure that's fair to say.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But I think that was just kind of part of it. But they definitely regrouped. I talked to Don Bartlett quite a few times last year about them, and he was telling me just how hard of a worker Rachel Homan is. And let's be honest here, doesn't matter what you do, if you're a hockey player, a curler, or whatever, life happens. And, Rachel, I think she's a year younger than I am. And, these are big years we're in, kind of setting up the future, raising families, young families. And I think it's really neat to see, especially Rachel. It's kind of heartwarming. I remember last year, a couple times after they won the finals of a slam, I was kind of looking around for this when we were off the air. I just want to say congratulations. And she was out with her kids on the sheet, playing around with them.
Same thing happened at the Scotties too. They had the kids all out there, and totally.
Yeah, and that's just such a special thing to see. Rachel, we know her as such a dominating athlete, and she will be again till she wraps her career up. But it's really cool to see her be more passionate, even just as a mother and as a a family member, and just showing that yes, curling and dominating curling is certainly a massive priority for her, but she certainly has other passions and priorities as well with the family.
Totally. Now, obviously, we talked about the big Brad Jacobs change, pretty big change on the women's side as well, with Jennifer Jones retiring. So a little bit different in that, there wasn't a dismissal situation, but Jennifer Jones retiring, Chelsea Cary stepping into those shoes. What did you make of that change? Was Chelsea the right choice for you? How do you think about them coming into this slam season?
I thought Chelsea was the obvious choice. Chelsea Cary, I think, has one of the most unique curling careers in the history of our game. She's won 2 Scotties, I believe.
Yep.
But what Chelsea has, maybe second to one person, and that being Jennifer Jones. Chelsea is so passionate about the sport of curling. When she's out there, she is so laser focused. There's no place else in the world she would rather be than playing that game right now. For a team like the formerly Team Jones, now Team Cary, it's a younger team. Lauren Lenentine, Islander.
Yeah.
Carly Burgess and Emily Zacharias. Losing Jennifer as your skip, you're obviously losing that fearless leader, that learning factor that, she's going to say things to you that maybe you haven't thought about or being in an experience you haven't seen yet. But Chelsea is probably the person who could come off the bench and fill that role and still be in her curling prime, the best. I thought she was the best fit. I don't think they're going to lose that much footing at all. In fact, I don't know if they'll lose any. I know Lauren quite well. I know her family, obviously, just growing up here. And we had a little chat this summer. They were saying just how keen they are to get going. They're very positive about it. They're looking forward to the year. And I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was interesting because they did take a little bit to make the announcement. I think Jennifer announces at the Scotties she's moving on. And I can understand not announcing the change right away. You still had the Players Championship and all of that, but then it was like 10 days after the Players Championship, we're waiting, and you're like, isn't it just easy to say it's Chelsea? Like what, but yeah, I was with you. I thought from the beginning, like you said, they're familiar with that elder statesperson role, the kind of older skip for the younger women on the team. So that wasn't going to be an issue. Like the age gap, I never thought was going to be an issue. And then, yeah, Chelsea, just one of the best last rock throwers of this generation, won the Scotties with two different teams, and then also made an Olympic trials final with a completely different team. So, when you're talking about being adaptable, being able to fit into new teams and make it work, I agree. Chelsea was a great choice. Okay, we're going to play just a very, very quick, it's not like a game, but I want you to do a little ranking for me before we get to our interviews, because we're starting to see internationally, there are some, there's some challengers to the incumbents internationally. So I want you to rank these potential international championship upsets in order of most likely to least likely. Okay. So there's four of them. You're going to tell me which one you think is most likely to happen to least likely. Okay. So the four are: Isabella Rana defeats Anna Hasselborg. Xenia Schwaller defeats Silvana Tirinzoni. Delaney Strauss defeats Tab Peterson. Faye Henderson beats Rebecca Morrison.
What was the second option? Delaney Strauss.
Delaney over Tab, Xenia over Silvana, Isabella over Anna, Faye Henderson over Rebecca Morrison.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to remember all those names just off the top of my head. Most likely to least likely. I'm going to say number 2, Strauss.
Okay.
For most likely over Tab Peterson.
Okay.
Strauss, I get to see them quite a bit last year, and they're a good up and coming team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to go, what was number 1?
Isabella over Anna.
No, sorry, number 4 then.
It was Faye Henderson over Rebecca Morrison.
Okay, I'm going to go I'm going to take that one, Faye Henderson over Rebecca Morrison.
Okay, interesting. They're separated by the most ranking points right now. Morrison is 15th in the world. Henderson is 35th.
I just think Scotland there's a lot of depth there, and you just never, and whoever comes out of there is going to be good.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to go Rana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Schwaller over Tirinzoni is least likely. Okay.
Tirinzoni, I
know it's
they're
tough.
A good team. Like
they're so good. Yeah.
They're so good. And they're sometimes I find around curling or like anything really, you see people kind of have good weeks, bad weeks, good days, bad days. They always just seem like they're just on the bus and they're just cruising. Hey, Alina, how's it going?
Fine.
It's good. Who were we talking about earlier? Brad Jacobson. We said swagger.
Yeah.
Alina Petz has swagger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of swagger, we are going to now get to our first ever guest on the program. He is also Swiss. He is the 4th rock thrower for Team Schwaller, currently ranked 4th in the world. Here's our chat with Benoit Schwarz-Van Berkel. All right, we are pleased to be joined by our first ever guest here on the Broom Brothers. It's Benoit Schwarz-Van Berkel. And did I say Schwarz right? I feel like some people, they go Schwartz. Is it more of a Schwartz or more of a Schwarz?
It's a German name Austrian name anyway, so Schwarz. Yeah,
Schwarz.
But it's perfect the way you say it. Yeah.
Samsonite. We were way off. All you Dumb and Dumber fans out there.
I feel like I would sound pretentious if I was like Schwarz every time I said your last
Don't
name.
worry. Even Benoit is tough to say sometimes, so don't worry. You're good.
Benoit's easy for us. French is like half of our official languages here in Canada, so we're fine. So yeah, because you have a French first name, German last name, wildly confusing.
I feel that since there is a Benoit in Emily in Paris, people kind of can pronounce my name much better now.
All right, we're going to start with the top 4, Benoit. These are just 4 questions. You're going to give me kind of a quick answer. First thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Okay, go.
All right. Which curler have you never played with before that you most want to?
I don't have a good answer. Kmart? No. Very bad answer. No, but for sure. This is a player I've only played once out of all the all-time greats that were almost I could have played against, only played once against. So, yeah.
So maybe play with him now. Bring him out of retirement. All right. If
it's a good idea, but yeah.
If all the rocks are exactly the same and you know that both sets of the rocks are great, what color are you picking?
So as a kid, red was my favorite color. So I guess that's the answer.
Okay.
Red.
What is the worst piece of curling advice you've ever received?
I really don't know. The worst curling advice. I'm not ready for this.
Has everyone just given you great advice all the time?
I guess so. I can't remember a very bad advice. I mean, I'm sorry, Colin. I'm sorry, John.
No, that's okay. All right, last one. How would your bitterest rival describe you?
I've heard once silent assassin. So I'm quiet on the ice. I don't show many emotions, but we are still one of the top teams. So I guess I could understand that.
But you'd slit someone's throat if it came to it, is what you're saying.
The silent assassin.
That's sports-wise, I would do it. Yeah.
Yes.
You do realize the MC of the Grand Slam of Curling is on this call, and I pick up on all these nicknames, and I have a microphone in every venue, correct?
Oh, no. So I just make up a new one.
The silent assassin.
That's
wow.
Good. No one's ever called me anything that cool before.
I'm pretty quiet on the ice, so yeah, I understand it. That's maybe sometimes what people are thinking. Yeah.
My nicknames are always really bad. Robbie, have you ever had a good nickname before? Because I feel like Silent Assassin is cool as hell, and my nicknames are always really stupid.
Oh, of course. And that's for years and years in curling. Like I've heard so many nicknames. Like there's in Charlottetown, PEI 4-foot Louie. And there's always like Hogline Bill, but now we have the Silent Assassin. So there's going to be like
but of course,
every slam now, every broadcast, there's going to be a TV 14 rating. Adult themes.
There's of course the one that Oscar Eriksson gave to me at the County Cup, Mr. T.
I was going to ask you about that. That's actually a question I have on my list because they said you never missed the T line on a draw. Is that true?
No, it's not true, of course. But I think when we were in the juniors, that was for sure one of my strength for the team. Draw weight. I wasn't very strong at the time. I was actually quite skinny, so it was easier to draw than to hit, I guess. So yeah, I think that's where it came from. Yeah.
Mr. T. I love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about this season so far, because you guys have obviously gotten off to a great start. You've played 3 events. You've won 2 of them. You made the final in another one. What's kind of been the key to your success so far? What is it about this season so far that, everything's kind of coming together?
Well, it's still very early to say that, I think, but it's true that we've played 3 events. We've played pretty decent, I think pretty good. We were quite solid. I think we've had a good preparation this summer. We've had a few good talks and important talks. I mean, we cannot forget that we had a very big disappointment at the Worlds in April in Switzerland at our home Worlds, where we got a lot of attention and we couldn't deliver good results. So that was a huge setback, and we talked a lot about it. So yeah, the way we started the season, it's for sure very yeah, we're very happy about it. I mean, I think you would prefer to win 2 events and make one final than lose 3 quarters, but yeah, it's only September, so I mean, it's not the most important, that's for sure.
Just to follow up to that, Benoit, Switzerland known as a neutral country, but you guys seem to have invaded Canada early this season with big wins in Oakville and in Cornwall at the Shorty. I want to just elaborate on what John asked. You said you worked on some things in the offseason, but just in a very blunt form, I'm going to ask you, in 2024, curling is the skill on the ice is mind-blowingly good. What's the difference between last year and this year? What are the things specifically you talked about that you knew you had to do different if you wanted to get to that next level, which obviously it seems to be working early on with 2 wins and a silver medal so far? What are those things that really just specifically we need to do this to get to the top?
So I think, so for our team, you mean, specifically? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's mostly mental, because I think with the team we have, I mean, we can make all the shots consistently, but maybe, I mean, frankly, maybe the last few big events last season, maybe the season before in the slams, we were very consistent, for example, in the slams, but we have not found the form we needed in the playoffs, or just in the playoffs at the Worlds, or in those big events. So I mean, I think for us at this point, it's mental. It's the attitude that you have in those big moments. I think, yeah, to be perfectly honest, that's something we are working on. And I think I like right now. I like the situation we are in as a team, because I think we are improving. And yeah, as a top team, that's super important, right? If you stop improving, it's usually the moment you get very bad results, right?
Or you quit.
Or you even
end up a podcast host.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For me, that was it. I was like, I want to go out on top. And my version of on top was being ranked like 33rd in the world and never getting to the Brier. But hey, look, it's different strokes for different folks. I was curious, you obviously underwent like a huge team change a couple years ago. You had been playing with Peter de Cruz for so long. You left to play with Yannick. I was curious because I think a lot of people know how that process looks in Canada. It's all done by the teams themselves. And I know in other countries, sometimes it's done by the federation, sometimes it's done by the players. When that team kind of came together, was that the Swiss Curling Federation trying to put you guys together? Was that you deciding it was time for a change? Like, how did that kind of, the sort of mashup of you and Yannick happen?
Yeah, no. So the federation had really nothing to do with it. So it was completely a free market. You do your own business. There was no state help. No, I mean, towards the end of the 22 season, the Olympic season, I think it was pretty clear that Pete and Vala were gonna retire. So we just finished the season. We really didn't discuss about the next steps until after the Olympics. But during the off season after the Olympics, everything goes very, very fast because basically you really have to build up a team, find new sponsors, structure the season plan, structure the trainings, and I mean the time goes very fast. So yeah, quite quickly, right after the end of the season, we had a few exchanges with Yannick, with Sven, later on with Pablo, and we made this team happen. Yeah. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it was not clear up until that point if I would keep playing. That was still open. I mean, everything was open at that point. But with this team, with this constellation, I was definitely willing to be a part of it. Yeah, I think it was a great opportunity, and at my age, still a cool opportunity to do something in curling. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's I was curious about that. So you're saying like if a team didn't kind of come together in a way where you thought you had a chance to compete, you might have also retired.
Maybe, yeah, completely possible. I've had with the former team with Peter, Valentin, and we had a few other teammates as well. I think we've gone beyond our dreams and goals. I mean, we went to the Olympics twice. We've had good results on the tour, medals at international championships, and I mean, when I was a young curler, a young kid, I didn't think that was we would go that far. So that was, I mean, yeah. Right now, I feel like I'm living a little bit on the bonus side of my career. But yeah, we're still very hungry for more. That's for sure.
At the ripe age of 33, you're in the bonus age of your career.
Yeah, no, I think, I still feel very, very young, even though I think for some athletes in some other sports, you are more when you pass 30. Yeah, you have to look for maybe other options. But no, in my life and in my curling career, I still feel very young. So yeah, super happy to have this opportunity with this team. Yeah.
3 events so far this season, 2 golds and a silver. Pretty good for the bonus stage of your career. So.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I never reached the bonus stage, I don't think.
No, John and I are still waiting for ours.
Yeah, where's my bonus stage?
Let's talk personal life, Benoit. How's fatherhood?
It's amazing. I love it. And Martina and me, and my wife, we really love it. It's for sure, I think, the greatest thing that has happened to us. That's for sure. So it's not easy, but it's a great time for sure.
Has it changed the way you approach curling or the way you think about curling or what curling results mean to you in any way?
No, thankfully, I don't think so. And I mean, I don't think I had to make sacrifices to make curling happen. Frankly, on the contrary, I think being an athlete, it's actually a good situation to be a father or a mother, because as an athlete, you are more flexible. You are independent. You can do your own business. So it's not the worst setup. And for the curling, we'll see. But for sure, I think it's the best part is when you have a loss and you see your kid. That's then the loss it's not that bad anymore.
Robbie, you screwed up. You had your kid way too late. You already retired. Maybe that was your problem. You needed to have the kid earlier, and then maybe you'd still be going.
I think
I had a lot more. Was in 2000, so that was very helpful back then. At the beginning of the year, but no, of course, she didn't serve that purpose in Oakville and in Cornwall.
Now, your wife is, speaking of your family, is an Olympic swimmer. You guys are both Olympians. And I was curious, is she a better curler or are you a better butterfly swimmer?
So I've always been a big swimming fan. I've always followed quite a bit of swimming the last 10 years. I like this sport. So in my mind, and I go swim quite a bit from time to time. In my mind, I'm a decent swimmer, but for her, I'm not so much a decent swimmer.
So she gives you a hard time.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's okay. I mean, I can live with that, and I mean, it's fair. I mean, she has swum. I think she swam 40,000 kilometers in her career. So I've swum maybe 200.
Benoit, will she be at the Hearing Life Tour Challenge for Slam?
No, she will not. She came to Oakville with the baby, with our little girl. That was a fantastic time, but we're not sure yet if she's gonna come back to Canada with the baby. No,
I was just wondering because it's on an island, and she swam 40,000 kilometers. That's like 500 laps around the island. So I was just wondering if she was going to try to keep fresh, get back in the water.
She could probably do it in theory, but no. The water is quite cold at that time, I guess.
Probably all the time. Yeah, I can't imagine an open water swim around PEI would be very enjoyable to do.
The 24, 25 degrees of the pool That's very precise.
Yeah. Some go to New Brunswick from PEI to New Brunswick just because they don't want to pay the bridge toll. But no, I don't think we've seen many people lap around it. But
tough to get your car over there once you swim from PEI to New Brunswick.
100%.
Benoit, something with your team is, Yannick speaks German. You're more of a French guy. Are you better at German or is he better at French?
No. So I'm better at German.
Oh, are you?
No, because I've lived. I'm almost. How do you say? I can speak both quite well because I've lived 10 years in Zurich now.
Oh, okay.
My wife is Swiss German, so I also speak Swiss German, which is the dialect we speak in Switzerland. But Yannick and Sven is pretty good in French now. He's played 4 years with the former teams where we used to speak almost only French, so he's very decent. Yannick, it's new. He's trying, and he can say sentences when we are with Pablo and me, for example. But no, we prefer to speak in German or even in English. We mix a bit everything up, for sure. We usually make sentences where we have the three languages in one sentence, so we can have our own insights like this.
You guys are inventing your own language.
In Atlantic Canada, we have a term for that. It's called franglais. If you go to Moncton,
franglais. We do franglais allemand. If you want, we do. Yeah.
So it's worldwide.
Now
you can hear me, right? With the connection.
Yep.
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, we can hear you. If you can hear us, you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Now, I was curious because I do know, Robbie and I are obviously Canadian, and we're very familiar with Quebecois French. And yes. I know that in France, there's sort of a negative opinion of Quebecois French and their accent. Is that similar in Switzerland? When you come to Canada, are you a little bit like, what's that accent? What's going on over there in Quebec?
No. Honestly, I think that's even the other way around. No, Quebecois is it sounds very friendly. It's crazy when we hear I'm gonna say it, politicians. It sounds like it's not something serious. It's so friendly. It sounds it sounds so informal. No. I think Quebec has actually a pretty good reputation. It's more quite frankly, it's more the accent from France that has not
okay. So this is a Swiss and Canada versus France thing then. Okay, I like that.
Shots fired.
I don't know. It's maybe Paris against the rest. I don't know.
You're just trying to get on Pierre Charette's good side before the season starts, aren't you, Benoit?
No, but when we listen to the people from Quebec, they have expressions that are so funny, and also they translate every English word, which we don't do in Switzerland and in France, for example. For example, a sandwich or a parking, we will say the same word as in English, but they translate everything, and in curling as well. So some expression that we use from the curling, that is mostly English, right? They translate it, and for us from Switzerland, sometimes it's so funny, like playing a chase. We say on joue un chase, but in Quebec they use a French word. So for us, it's very funny.
I have a personal question I want to ask you, Benoit. I've been waiting to talk to you about this publicly for a while now. There's obviously some changes happening this season within the Grand Slam of curling as the curling group took over. They're looking to make it more of a fan experience, a lot more of a social time when you come to watch the curling games live. One of the new events we're going to see this year on the tour is the GSOK Grand Slam of Karaoke, happening every Friday. And I was talking to Nick Solsky last year in Toronto. We kind of threw this idea, or he suggested it to me, and I said, it's been done before, once in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And Benoit Schwarz brought down the house at the social house at the Sioux Curlers Association Curling Club. Benoit, 2 questions. Any favorite memories of yours from that performance? And number 2, because I live in Charlottetown and they're getting excited for curling here, can we expect an encore performance?
It's a great idea, by the way. Grand Slam of Karaoke, you call it, huh? Yeah. I am very bad at karaoke. I'm very confident that I'm really bad.
You got a standing ovation in Sault Ste. Marie. Okay, I saw that. That
was very funny. It was a very funny evening, though. I think we sang some kind of "Oh Canada" with some twist. That was funny. Yeah.
we
I think
footage.
the video is somewhere on the internet. It was funny. I think it was nothing special. I mean, Robbie, you are
I
a
beg to
much,
differ.
much better singer. I can say that very easily.
Maybe we can do a duet.
But yeah, maybe if I have time, I will attend.
We can do Grease Lightning.
Sure, for sure.
I would love to see the two of you do Grease Lightning. Who's doing I guess it's all guys, right? Who's Danny Zuko? And then is Benoit kind of the backups, I guess?
Oh, I'm taking Olivia Newton-John for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, but the problem is I don't know the lyrics of the songs. English is not my native speaker. I don't have that talent where you remember the song that you have in your head, So, but, maybe
We'll make sure the lyrics are there, Benoit.
We will see.
Well, we can get you like a German song. You could do some Rammstein. You could do some Nene, 99 Luftballons. I mean, there's options.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is Celine Dion. It's French. It's Canadian. Yep. Maybe we can find something there.
I want it. I want the Celine Dion Benoit performance at GSOK for sure. Benoit, Robbie's kind of airing some stuff out here. I want to air some stuff out as well, because I had a tweet a couple years ago where I noticed that Brendan Botcher was wearing a very nice watch at the Briar. And I said, more curlers should be wearing more nice watches on the ice. You never really see it like they do in tennis or other sports. And then you sent me a DM. We had never DM'd before. And you sent me a DM and you were like, dude, like, pay attention. I was wearing a very nice watch at the Olympics. And you sent me some pictures. So can we get a sort of like a watch collection update here? Where are you at? Like, you're a bit of a watch nerd. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm very much. I can say I'm very much a watch nerd. Yeah. I mean, watches are cool. They really are cool, and there's some great stuff to discover. It's a very nice hobby, and you can go very deep down the rabbit hole. Yeah, and there is so much to learn and to discover. So yeah, I like watches. Yeah, for sure.
How many in the collection?
I mean, I don't know. I have a couple of watches, but maybe we can talk around coffee, and I can show you. No, I can show you a few watches I have. I think the how it started with wearing watches during the games and at the Olympics specifically is light watches. And at the Olympics you cannot wear your sponsors, but a watch, who will care? You do what you want. So I was thinking what could we do? And that's how I asked Omega back then, because Omega is also the Olympic sponsors, and we could organize a small deal. So for full transparency, we were sponsored by them during the Olympics, the last two. So yeah, we wore some very nice Omegas during the Olympics. Yeah, that was a super great experience. Yeah, to do that.
Man, that's sick. I need to get a watch sponsorship. This is insane.
But there are many watch brands, and there are some Canadian brands I'm not so aware, but North American for sure you can find some. Yeah, I mean US, it's a big market. I know it's not the same. I know that. I know.
Hey, look, it's okay. I'm wearing this is my current favorite. This is a custom. It's a Casio, but then there's like Murakami design in the middle there. So that's kind of my favorite at the moment. This G-Shock.
No, but watches are fun, and for me, there are this is for example my Speedmaster that I have since several years. The thing is, there's the technical side. I mean, there's so much engineering that goes into it. It's technology that is 500 years old. It's so technical, complicated, and those little gears and screws and that goes together to display the time. But on the other side, it's not only telling time, it's also a little bit telling who you are and what you like. There's really a whole design aspect about them that are so, and I really like those two sides, the technical side, geeky side a little bit, but also the creative side and the design part. I mean, it's really, the watches are cool, that's for sure.
So are you ever late?
I mean, I could kill you talking about watches, frankly.
No, it's good. I love it. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I feel like people don't know that you're like a big watch head. Is it because you're Swiss? Is this like because obviously a lot of the top watchmakers are Swiss based. Is it kind of a thing with growing up in Switzerland?
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. There's a bigger culture. That's a special market in that sense. More people are educated. You know, you offer more than a watch for a big occasion, or in Switzerland, there's a bigger culture around them. The industry basically more or less comes from here, like in a nutshell. But it's also true that, for example, people from the French-speaking part of the country, it's also a bit even more, you know. For example, so Pablo in my team is also from the French part, and he's also a bit into it. And one of the weekends, we this summer we built a watch together, for example. So we had a workshop, and so this watch, for example, here, that's a watch that Pablo and me, we over a weekend, a workshop weekend, we built it together, and we went away with it. So
can you hold it up to your camera so we can see it closer?
Yeah, I could also send you pictures, but per se, this is not my favorite watch that I have, for example, but I built it, you know, and we assembled the components together over the course of a full weekend, and I'm probably gonna keep it for the rest of my life, because those objects, they are beautiful, you know, but yeah, if you take care of them, they will outlive you, and you know, it's really something that you can keep for many years. Yeah. The other watch that I showed you, I mean, this one, the design, it dates from the 60s, and they didn't change it since then. It's exactly the same design, more or less exactly the same movement, and it's something that is almost 60 years old. And if you compare to other, you know, goods that we use every day in our lives, you know, like an Apple Watch or an iPhone, I think in comparison, I mean, they're amazing, but they're way more boring, you know, in that sense, because everyone has the same, right? So yeah, those are all the little things why I love those, why I like those objects. But it's true that in Switzerland there is more culture, more people know about them, you know a little bit what they are, how they are made. That's true. Yeah.
Another question about some personal interests of yours. I remember you stopping me in Red Deer last year. It was in January, and asking me about details on the solar eclipse, because you wanted to plan your flight to Toronto to be in the air when the eclipse happened. Two questions. Is astrology, John, astrology?
Astronomy.
Oh, it's no way. Sorry, that's an inside joke. I get that wrong every time. Is astronomy a serious passion of yours? And number two, did you get to be in the air during the eclipse?
Yeah. So yeah, that's true. Now I remember. Yeah, there was the eclipse just the day before the Players Championships, which I'm. That's why that was so funny. I was like, because the next total solar eclipse in Europe, or over Switzerland at least, I think it's in 2088 or something like this. So I mean, it's super rare. No, yeah, it's been it's not as big of a passion as watches, for instance, you know, or as a curling, frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I could recognize half a dozen or a dozen constellation in the night sky. Yeah, every once in a while I like to, you know, learn about this stuff. I don't have a telescope, but yeah, I think one day that's also something I could invest in a little bit too. No, I like astronomy as well. It's also some of the stuff I like to geek out when I have some free time and when my mind wanders. Yeah.
You're an interesting man, Benoit.
Yeah, I like this. I feel like we're learning a lot about you. This is I had another thing I wanted to talk about, because you posted your team last year. You were at an event. I want to say it was maybe Lloydminster, but I don't remember. But you and your team baked baguettes at your Airbnb. Is that the most like Swiss thing you've ever done in your life? Because it's like, what curling team is taking a day off at a bonspiel and making bread?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I really like bread. And I think over the years, the past 10, 12 years, you know, when we've traveled so many times to Canada, I have to say, one of the things I miss from home is some good bread. And I don't know when it was, but I think last year I was suddenly thinking, but we are always in Airbnbs, and I could, we could bake some bread. It's probably not easy, but it's probably makeable. It's probably possible. So we started, and then this year I've been making a bit of bread at home. It's a whole other hobby in itself. But if you have a good oven and some good flour, you can and you invest a bit of time. It takes some time, huh? Yeah, and at best you wake up a bit early, but it's perfect when you have jet lag. You can do your own bread in your Airbnb. Yeah.
Any plans to bake bread in Charlottetown? And if so, any plans to bake extra bread in Charlottetown?
No, because the problem is that you have to bet that the oven in your Airbnb is going to be clean enough, which is not always the case. But but maybe, who knows? I haven't done it in Oakville, and the last time, when we were in Londminster, it's -40 outside, and you have a good oven, so we baked some bread.
Who has a good oven, Benoit, is Robbie. Who also lives in Charlottetown? Robbie. So you know what? I'm thinking we get you over to Robbie's house. You make some bread. You bring it to the slams for me and Robbie, and we'll be rocking.
I can do one better than that, John. Charlottetown is home to the Culinary Institute of Canada, and they also have Canada's Test Kitchen. So we have access to the top-notch cookware, anything you need here. If I can arrange that, can you promise some bread?
I'll take the scale with me, and we have to make sure we find some flour and some good yeast, and we can try. Yeah, I mean, why not? The schedule at the slam is quite busy, and I think bread making is not going to be the top priority, but I mean, why not? Why not?
Be.
We can try to.
I mean, how much money would it take for it to become the top priority, Benoit, is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy a lot of stuff with money, right?
What about seafood, Benoit?
I really like seafood. Yeah. No. For me, we always make a little bit fun of this. So, for example, so Pablo and me, we are from the French part in my team, and Sven and Yannick, they're from the German part of Switzerland. And I mean, culturally, food-wise, there is a difference. It's not.
Yes.
So we have. I like to say, I don't want to exaggerate, but we have a bit more the Latin culture in that sense. So we like seafood, we like oysters, that kind of stuff, and when we are in Halifax or in places where you can find this kind of food, we really like to take it, and because they don't really enjoy it that much, Same for our coach, actually, Howard from Norway. Not the biggest seafood guys, so we're having fun joking about it. But I really like seafood. Yeah.
You and I are going to spend some time together. Maybe a trade: lobster and oysters for some nice homemade Swiss bread. Deal?
I mean, I think
that's terrible.
Lobster. I think lobster. It's good. It's very good. It's a bit overrated, But for example, oysters, I think super good. Salty. You can have. I know some people won't understand that. That's okay. But yeah, there is some. You can find a lot of different tastes, and it's really good. Yeah.
You and I will be doing some oysters in Charlottetown. Yeah.
Okay. Last question.
Sure. I mean,
sorry. Last question. I think. I just want to know, being a Swiss guy, have you ever met Roger Federer?
Nope. Haven't. I'm a big tennis fan. Of course, I mean, I've followed his career and Wawrinka's career actually as well, but his career, of course, so iconic throughout my childhood. So big, of course, big fan. But I mean, for us, I mean, saying you're a fan of Roger Federer is like saying you like chocolate. It's not very special. Like, obviously, you're a fan. No, never met him. But also we are at the Winter Olympics, so we cannot meet him in the Olympic Village because he's competing in the summer. But no,
I just didn't know if there was like, some kind of Swiss sports awards or like something like that where you would have maybe crossed paths with him.
No, never happened. So no. Unfortunately,
Not yet.
I've watched.
Not yet. Exactly. Not
I've
yet. You
watched
win
him
gold in
2 times.
2026. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible, yeah. And he's a very Swiss guy. He really likes to spend time in Switzerland. I mean, so his image is absolutely great in Switzerland. He's really, you can see him around at concerts and everything. So no, but not happened yet. I'm a big tennis fan, so I've watched him actually twice at Wimbledon, I think. So that was super impressive to see that. Federer at Wimbledon. It's really like pinnacle of sports in many ways. So that was nice, but no, never in person.
All right. Well, that's it, Benoit. Before we go, any sponsors you want to give some love to?
Sure. So absolutely, there is so our main sponsor is Lio Depial. I mean, these guys, what they have done for us since this team came together is we are super grateful. This project would be very difficult to make happen without them. So super grateful for this, and yeah, I think they deserve the biggest spotlight for sure.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Benoit. First ever guest on the show. You will go down in history. We appreciate you being here, and we'll talk to you in Charlottetown.
Yeah, see you there. Thanks for having me. It was fun, and yeah, I was expecting more difficult questions, to be honest.
And you showed up to the interview on time. Thanks to your 35
thanks.
Watches. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, dude. Take care. See ya. So there you have it. Benoit Schwarz-Van Berkel. Awesome chat with him. Looking forward to that bread that we are no doubt going to make together in PEI next week. It looked good. I don't know if you saw the Instagram photo, Robbie, but the bread looked amazing.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah.
And I heard what he said about lobster as well. And I'm trying right now. I just sent a few texts to see where he's staying, and I'm going to make sure there's a live lobster in the bed when he curls up the first night.
A real Godfather situation. He wakes up next to a lobster staring at him. So we are going to end the show with a segment that we are calling Let's Play a Game. Every week, I am going to surprise my co-host Robbie with a game that we're going to play to close out the show. And Robbie, it is our first ever episode. I thought we would start very easy. Okay. And you're just going to give me a quick answer here. You can give me like a 1-sentence explanation as to why, but we're just going to go pretty quickly. The first game we are playing is just a simple game of over under. So I am going to give you a scenario and a number, and you will tell me whether you think the answer will be over or under. All right. Are you ready?
Go, baby.
All right. Mike McEwen's Briar finish, over or under 2.5?
Over.
You have him in the final again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I spoke about it earlier. I think that team's a real deal.
Okay. Rachel Homan Grand Slam wins, over under 1.5.
Over.
Okay. Yeah.
Over.
It's so hard. The slams are so hard to win that it's so hard before the season to be like, yeah, this team's going to win too. But if anyone you could say it about, it's probably Rachel.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to play Rachel Homan right now. No way.
No, me neither. Okay.
Get the Velcro ready.
Last season, of the 10 Grand Slam titles, 6 were won by international teams and 4 were won by Canadian teams. So for this season, Canadian team Grand Slam wins, over under 4.5.
Over.
Okay. Bounce back year for Canada.
Yep. I think the trials are around the corner. I think we're going to see some big things from Canadian teams this year.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. John Schuster, United States championship finish, over under 1.5.
I think you got to go over.
Yeah, you're taking him to win again?
I think I can't go against Matt Hamilton. After looking that good in the Blazer a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. It was a good look. Good look. Handsome fella.
He did a great job. Shout out to Matt.
Yeah, he did. Chelsea Cary, Grand Slam wins, over under 0.5.
Over.
Okay, you think they're going to win a slam?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I think Chelsea is going to come out guns a-blazing this year. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on her to fill arguably the biggest curling shoes of all time. Imagine taking over a team in place of Jennifer Jones. That's a lot of pressure. And
Totally.
I think Chelsea loves the game, and she's just got the natural talent that I think they're going to win one. I do.
Okay. Brad Jacobs' number of Grand Slam wins, over under 0.5.
Over. Absolutely over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And final one, number of sternly worded emails or messages we get about this podcast, over under 49.5.
Over. By the end of the day.
So that was a good game. It was just all over. I should have just called the game over with Robbie Doherty.
Hey, I'm a big thinker.
I love it. Well, thanks everybody for tuning into the first episode of the Broom Brothers. Please like and subscribe in the podcast feed. You can also, if you like the show, just tell a friend about it, would be great. You can follow the Grand Slam of Curling everywhere on social media at the Grand Slam of Curling. And you'll see us back here in 2 weeks after the Charlottetown Slam. And hopefully we'll see you at the Charlottetown Slam. If you see us around the arena, please make sure to say hi, and especially let us know if you listen to the podcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you back here very soon. Goodbye.
Thanks everybody.